And then we walked up the stairs at the side and took off our overalls, and we were the entertainment. I thought it was such a good trick, you know. That went down very well, as you can imagine, with the boys. I was born in Hammersmith, but when I was 7 and my brother was a baby, my mother and father had saved hard, as people had to in those days, to buy a house. And they bought a house in Sudbury Hill, near Wembley, a lovely garden. And I used to bring all the children in the garden and organise concerts even then. Gracie Fields was the singer in those days, singing "Sing As We Go and Let the World Go By." She used to sing, and so I got all the children singing that and skipping around the garden. It was a concert I did. Yes, and I went to a dancing school and learned tap dancing, so I did shows with children dancing. I loved the theatre. I always loved the theatre. Three weeks before my 15th birthday, that's when the war broke out on the 3rd of September 1939. That morning I went, as usual, with my friend to church. And we just got in and sat down, and a siren went. And this like, ooh. We gave one look at each other and got off our seats, and we were out of that church and running up the road. We did a 15-minute walk in about 5 minutes, I think. I remember throwing myself in the door, my mother having to pick me up. I was in a state of collapse. We thought there were going to be bombs dropping. My father then arranged for my brother and I to be sent to Bournemouth. We had relatives, because my family comes from Swanage and Bournemouth. Well, as you can probably imagine, at nearly 15, I wasn't very happy about that, not at all, because I'd joined local clubs and I like going dancing and meeting the boys and doing all the things you do when you're a teenager. I was miserable, because I was. I didn't know what to do. All I was doing was writing letters to my friends or writing to my dad asking if I could come home. There was nothing for me to do there, you know, sit and listen to the radio. That was all there was, or play Patience. I did play Patience, I remember. No, it was very hard for me. I was lucky that where we lived wasn't heavily bombed. I wouldn't have got home if that had happened. But because we'd never had any bombing in that area, for some reason the bombers always went over, but we never had any heavy bombing. And so my father relented then. I went to work in a war factory, which is on what is the A40, what used to be called the Western Avenue Hoovers. The Hoover factory was a war factory. And I became an inspector of the signals that were put into the lifeboats. They're blow-up dinghies in the bombers that when they landed on the water, they got in the dinghy, and they were fitted with this special signal, and my job was to inspect them and see that they were working before they were fitted into the dinghies. And I did night work, and it was night work. Oh God, it was terrible. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I used to electrocute myself because the job I had involved testing these devices, and sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning you just go to sleep. Just suddenly I'll be yeah, it was difficult. It was dark, and the floor we were on was dark, and you just had spotlights on the work you were doing, and in front of me were the benches of the girls making the devices, and my job and another person, a friend of mine then, we were the inspectors, and that we just inspect. It was so boring. I mean, boring and long, from, I think it was 9 till 7 we worked, and you had an hour in the middle of the night to eat. In between shifts, I joined the concert party that the company had to entertain people who worked there. In the canteen, which was 24 hours, they had a stage, and when I wasn't working or sleeping, I was on the stage singing for the people who worked at the company. That got me doing the thing I do best. Always dressed for the concert, always. You didn't just go in your work clothes, no. You put a nice dress on and made up. I sung solo most of the time, all the time. I got to know what people liked hearing, the things like White Cliffs of Dover and all those lovely songs that there were then. They'd call out, sing, da 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 da, and I'd say to the pianist, don't know, I sing it. Because I knew all the songs, they were lovely songs that period, and I knew them all, and still do, actually. It was something very important for people working to have something. I loved it. One concert I can remember, they put on, somebody came along who was a producer, and he said, I want you all to put overalls on as though you're in the factory. So we all had overalls on, and underneath the girls all had bathing costumes, and it was all girls, So then we walked in the hall, and people having their dinner, and we're talking as we're walking, and people saying, what are you doing? They thought we were a nuisance. They were waiting for the entertainment to come on. And then we walked up the stairs at the side and took off our overalls, and we were the entertainment. I thought it was such a good trick, That went down very well, as you can imagine, with the boys. One evening, somebody from ENSA was in and asked me if I would like to join ENSA. I couldn't apparently join the company that travelled abroad because I wasn't old enough, but they said there are lots of concerts they give in this country, and if I wanted to, I could do that when I was free. My work I had to do, but these were the important things, so I couldn't give the one up I wanted to. I had to work, do the war work, and I know that was very good, but what I wanted to do was the entertaining. And so I'm lucky because I found what I was all about from those years, really. I used to have to take my bicycle to Hoover's, parked my bicycle there, and the coach was outside. Wasn't like a coach like you see coaches now, a rough old thing. There were no heating in them, just like a country bus, more sort of thing. And you just got on, and you were just taken there, and you weren't told anything. You didn't know where you were going or how long you'd be on the bus. One particular evening, I remember we were very tired and cold when we got there. We were so relieved when the van stopped and they opened the door, bitterly cold. We got it. We had to walk across, I remember, like a field or something, to get to this place, we were then confronted with this like big, like a hut or something, and it actually was a hospital. And of course, they opened the door, and when they closed the door, they then opened the curtain, because you weren't allowed to open the door into the dark. You had curtains, so you had a door. You went in, closed the door, then they opened the curtain, and when they opened the curtain, a roar went up. There were about 100 soldiers or people, wounded people. I will never forget that. It was like just a wonderful welcome. They were so happy to see us, you know. And as soon as the pianist sat at the piano and did one, everyone cheered, you know. It was so lovely. It was, yeah, I wouldn't have missed that. And then we go round the beds after, obviously, and chat to the men and ask them where they were from or something. And yeah, it was a nice opportunity to really be in touch with the fighting people. That's what I appreciated, because otherwise you're not. You got to be in touch with the people involved to know really what it must have been like, and it wasn't easy. They were very brave young men, you know. You think just schoolboys, really. Certainly my experience with the war work and doing the entertaining, it did change me quite a bit, I think. Yeah, I would say. I did so much, you know, then for ENSA. It was very rewarding, I have to say, going round to the air hangars we used to perform in, and army camps and hospitals all over. Whatever entertaining you did, although you got pleasure from it, you knew how important it was to the people you were doing it for. And I feel very privileged that I was able to do that. Apart from the fact that what it did for me, I do think that I'm sure there are many young men, or not many left now, that still will remember some of those times, I'm sure.